Yo, Rich, what's going on? Another episode of the Jordan Patrick Show. I'm your host, Jordan, here with just Richie today. Just Richie. Not shorting you, Rich. I'm just saying we're missing L today. So thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you stopping in and doing a show with me. How you doing?
Great, bro. Lots to talk about. Baseball related stuff. We got the big Patriots Bills showdown tonight.
A
Yeah.
lot going on. A lot going on, man. A lot on our plate. So I just want to jump right into it, man. All these trades and acquisitions and just money flying around in the MLB right now is pretty insane. Have you seen some of these scoops that these teams are making right now?
Yeah, and I want to make a very quick mention. A lot of teams were in a big rush to sign a lot of guys because I don't think anyone knows for sure the direction the money is going to go once the collective bargaining agreement is, fixed because they are currently on a lockout, but I think it's super temporary, not overly concerned.
I think it's very, very temporary. I'm not concerned in the slightest bit. Literally everything I'm reading is saying that it's not going to be for long, so it's not really a big deal. It could end up being a big deal, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, a lot of people were waiting to see how it shook down, but the biggest acquisition in my mind right here, if you saw this, Kevin Gausman to the Blue Jays, 5 years, $110 million. How do you feel about this?
It's going to help the Blue Jays, but I'm not 100% sure if it's a move I would have made. I think Gausman is a damn good pitcher, but I think he's, when you lose Robbie Ray, kind of takes a little bit of the sweetness out of getting him. And, I get it. They have Ryu. It's a nice little 1-2. And it's a team that needed pitching because, they are obviously offensively gifted. But I'm kind of in the middle on this move. I think they overpaid a little. I view him as a very good pitcher, but not necessarily an ace.
Wow. Okay, so I think he's an ace. So I agree and I disagree with you. So I think he's definitely an ace. So I disagree with you there. I think it's a huge acquisition for them because that is exactly what they need. They, like you said, they're bats. They have all the youth in the world, man. They got Biggio. They got Guerrero. These kids are young. Huge. Yeah, exactly. Bo Bichette, I forgot about him. Another prime example. All these guys are really young, really healthy, really strong, and they're not looking for new bats right now. They need these holes in the rotation. And Gausman is the guy for that. But I do agree with you in the regard that they did pay him a little bit too much. But he is an ace, man. Here's where I think, in all honesty, I think San Francisco won in this trade. Gausman's 30 years old. It's a 5-year deal. It's a lot of money. San Fran's trying to make other moves as well. If this is the best move for Toronto, and just put it this way, I think the winner in this trade is San Francisco. And I'm a huge fan of Gausman. I'm just saying they released him at the right time, and they're moving in another direction. I think they actually win. But it works for both parties. It's a mutualistic benefit for each of them. Toronto needs a better rotation right now. So
If they could have had Robbie Ray in addition to Ryu and now Gausman, I think
that
I'd
would
be a little
nasty.
hyped about the move.
I agree, but to say Gausman's not an ace, I don't know, man. I really think he is. Some of his numbers last year, man.
That
Real impressive.
ERA is going to get a little bloated playing in the AL East now.
It's going to be a lot different coming from the AL or the NL West to the AL East. I mean, you're facing Toronto's arguably the fourth best team in that division. So, and they look good, man. But the Rays are just going to keep doing their thing. The Yankees are the fucking Yankees, and Boston is surprising everybody by just being diligent, being there, and they surprised the shit out of everybody last year.
They had quality.
Even some of their fans.
The Red Sox, picking up not as high profile as this move, but they did pick up Michael Wacha. They did have.
Yeah. Where was he from? St. Louis.
Yeah. They had a couple of losses. Erod, we mentioned that not too long ago that he has left. I believe he went to Detroit.
Yes,
I don't
he did.
know. I kind of like Detroit, what they're doing right now, even though they're not exactly viewed as a contender. I kind of like the way they're building over there.
Well, I'll always have a little bit of disdain for whatever organization AJ Hinch is managing. Fuck you, AJ Hinch. But they are making outstanding moves, man. They're headed in the right direction to win. I think they just picked up a pitcher as well, did they not? Or was it another big bat? They're making. We should have looked into this a little bit more for Detroit. This is a little bit of a sidebar.
Yeah, it wasn't like we expected to get on Detroit like that. Just kind of came about. But, I mean, last year they were hovering around 500. And I said this year I think they can challenge the White Sox. I stand by that. So let's see how that plays out. But, yes, I do think that they can challenge the White Sox this year in that division with the Twins, the Royals, and the new named Cleveland Guardians way in the back.
Gosh. And a little correction here. Waka was a Tampa Bay Ray. Forgot all about that. That's where it came from.
I was thinking of his career more so with the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's where he spent most of his time. But
yes, he was with the Rays as well.
And speaking of the Rays, they acquired Corey Kluber, 1-year deal for $8 million. Being a Yankee fan, how you feeling about this one?
I think it's a great move for Kluber and the club. I feel that he was in the midst of having a very good season. I mean, he did throw a no-hitter for us. And unfortunately, he missed a huge chunk of the summer with the shoulder injury, which almost cost him the season. Kind of some red flags because, he had the Tommy John history. But you're talking about a 2-time Cy Young winner who's a true professional. And I think coming over to a younger team that's a little more under the radar. And when I say under the radar, I don't mean that people don't know that they're damn good. It's more that it's a smaller market. I think he could kind of fit in a little bit, whereas every little move you make in New York is under a microscope. I'm actually predicting – I had this conversation with my barber yesterday, who's a diehard Yankee fan, and we both believe Kluber's going to pay big dividends for the Rays.
I do too. You know what? It's a gamble for both teams here. He is definitely injury prone, but when he's on, like you said, he's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. When he's on, man.
That's an intelligent guy.
Yeah, and he brings a charisma to a young clubhouse, that veteran mentality that we need to maybe get us over that threshold of the postseason jitters that kind of got to us obviously pretty badly this year.
Very humble guy too, which I in the 1 year that he was a Yankee, I really did appreciate. When he threw the no-hitter, immediately giving credit to Tyler Wade for a great play, a guy who normally didn't even play the outfield. Talking about some great defense. Just a real humble guy, not a glory hog by any means. True professional. I like the move. I think he's going to do very well. Especially
if he can stay healthy, man. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I know. 1 year, $8 million. If he gives us some crucial wins at important times, I think it's a great move. Obviously, it's common sense. But speaking of common sense, you see what the Mets are doing with these. They're spending some money, man. They're spending some money, and they're making some really common sense, good, rock solid moves for this team and this organization. And I love the fact that they're not afraid to spend money. What's your take on this? Like, is it a lot too much too soon, or is it perfect timing in the situation that they're in?
And this is the polar opposite of what I just said about your team. Your team is coming off 2 great seasons, small market. The pressure isn't the same. The Mets, in addition to trying to unseat the world champion Braves, they are obviously big rivals with Philadelphia as well.
Right.
And in addition to that, they are always in competition with the other New York team, my New York Yankees. So
I think your thunder a little bit.
Right. They want to be taken serious. They want people to know that Uncle Stevie's not afraid to throw around that money. A couple of weeks ago,
don't they have sorry to interrupt you, but don't they have a stigma around them for just not wanting to spend money?
Well, I would say prior to Uncle
Stevie,
there's a lot of validity to that, where they would try to always look for a bargain deal with guys that didn't have much left, or sometimes getting a guy off of name recognition These are
Right.
solid moves. Starling Marte is a guy that I wanted my Yankees to go after. That is a quality pickup.
Right.
And as I'm sure you know, they're moving on from Michael Conforto in the outfield.
Yeah.
That's an obvious upgrade. Now with the universal,
sure.
the lineup is going to look pretty good because Dorney, our buddy, and I spoke about this. You know, you could have Big Pete occasionally DH. Lindor, I got to think he's going to have a bounce back year. The one loss is Javi Baez.
I don't think it's that big of a loss, though.
No,
I'll tell you why.
There's quite a distraction, actually, for the Mets. And, some of his comments didn't really sit well with the typical New York baseball fan, whether you support the Mets or the Yankees.
Exactly.
I mean, Max Scherzer, that is an excellent, excellent pickup.
But here's the thing.
Coming off an all-star caliber season. Guy
Yeah.
could play second, guy could play third, very versatile. And they are even linked to possibly, if Correa is willing to play third, they might not be done yet.
So you just dumped a whole bag of shit on the table right there. But Scherzer, real quick, before we speed past this, we'll get Dorney's take here in just a minute, but $43 million a year.
A lot of money.
Is his average pay. That's what he's going to be making. Man, that's a lot. That's a metric fuck ton of money that he's making. Is it too much for Scherzer, for Mad Max? I think it's too much for anybody, but it might actually work out in the Mets' favor here. What do you think on that amount of money per year for Mad Max?
Well, going back to some years back, thinking about legendary pitching staffs, Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling proved that a 1-2 of the ace A and the ace B can legitimately get it done all the way.
Yeah.
I do think the Mets still have to figure out 3 through 5, get a little bit of stability. And, the elephant in the room, Jacob deGrom has been hurt a lot. But I do think that bringing in a guy the caliber of Scherzer to replace
Syndergaard goes out to L.A. You have to immediately fill that void. Good point.
And they did more than that. He's making twice as much as Syndergaard, and to be honest, he's 3 times better. So maybe the Mets did get a bargain.
Without question. Yeah, maybe. But on paper, I saw that amount, and I'm like, God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I want Scherzer, but Jesus, that's a lot. I mean, that's kind of
what he brings. He is a guy that can dictate the outcomes of playoff races, and that's why they did it. Nonetheless, still got to get it done. And I will say this: there's a lot of heightened expectations that are going to be attached to acquiring a player like that. So,
acquiring all of these players of this stature.
But I like what they're doing. I must say, especially if they get that universal DH around the board. In addition to having that 1-2 knockout punch of deGrom and Scherzer, you look at
the bats they got.
Not too many weak spots in that lineup now.
No, look at the bats they got, man. Outfield is locked up. That outfield is locked up.
Something that gets overlooked, and I know that Brett and you were giving me some ribbing about this. Dorney said this not too long ago. With Jeff McNeil going back to his regular position, he might be in the mix for a batting title again, and to prove that was not just some kind of fluke, because when you go back to where you're supposed to be and when you have this influx of talent around you, I kind of go back to the Paul O'Neill, Bernie Williams, Derek Jeter stuff. Jeter,
of course.
Don't get me wrong, but he also had a great selection of pitches to hit because of everything that was surrounding him. And it all goes hand in hand with weight.
It's definitely where you're hitting in the batting order as well, and who you have, exactly well said, who's in front of you and who's behind you. It really does affect what you're going to see coming down the pipe. And
this team's going to be very good if deGrom stays healthy. I don't worry about Scherzer as much in the injury realm.
I'm not worried about Scherzer at all. Yeah, not even a little bit.
They did lose Stroman. I want to make a mention of that quickly, just for the sheer fact that he was a guy that they probably wanted to keep. I do know that he's a Chicago Cub now.
Yeah, he came from Toronto, stayed for a little while.
They almost brought back Steven Matz. That didn't happen, but it almost did.
I didn't see that. I didn't hear that. But
he's coming off a decent year, so there's still some made.
I want Dorney's take on this, and for the listener and the viewer, Dorney is a close friend of the show and a huge fan, and he left us a few little dispatches here, little voicemails on Anchor, and we're going to go ahead and play a few of those dispatches just so you guys can get Dorney's take, and then we'll kind of spitball off of that. So, Rich, if you can go ahead and pull that up and get one of them going for me, we'll see what kind of outlook a true Mets fan has.
All right, let's go.
The bats that the Mets signed this offseason focused around our new everyday center fielder, Starling Marte, were some great moves. I think they upgraded the bench mob, as it was called, from last year. Escobar can be an everyday infielder, potentially playing third base. There's a lot of talk still from, happy Met fans about going out to get Chris Bryant. I would love to see it, but I'm not sure if it makes sense. We have one of our top prospects in Brett Baty tearing the cover off the ball and playing good infield defense right now. Looking at him to be the future at third base doesn't mean that Uncle Stevie won't go out and spend the money. I think there's still a bat to be had in order to shore this lineup for the rest of this season. Losing Loop in the bullpen was a big blow. As a matter of fact, I'm going on record to say probably the biggest loss of the players that walked away this offseason. So they're definitely going to need to go out and shore up that bullpen. Diaz looked above average closing out the season last year. I think he's a bit of a head case. And again, I think it's one of those issues of having the pressure of playing in New York. I mean, God only knows I bought tickets just to be near the bullpen so I could boo him before he got into the game.
That's such a Dorney thing to do. Oh, man. Well said. Good points. And it's vital to a bullpen is obviously, you saw what it did for the Braves. I mean, if your bullpen is healthy and you come back strong, you could take a team from 500 at the All-Star break and go ahead and win the World Series. A bullpen fucking matters, obviously. Oh, yeah. But I'm saying that's how vital. And Dorney's right. Get that bullpen on track, and that team is going to be fucking nasty. But if you don't, that could pose a big problem, even with all these big names. So, what else does Dorney have for us? Anything else, or what's your opinion on what he said so far?
Before I move forward with some more of his stuff, I'm going to cover what he said already. I do agree with Rich that Chris Bryant doesn't make the most sense. If I was to choose between him or Correa, I would probably go the route of Correa because I have a feeling that Correa could play third. But honestly, my bigger focus, if I'm a Met fan or a Met GM or anybody in the office, I want to solidify that number 3 in the rotation because you got 2 studs that can eat innings and just get it done.
Correct. And if one faces an injury, you could potentially fuck yourself.
I mean, look what happened this year. Syndergaard didn't play at all, and DeGrom had 3 different stints on the IL.
Exactly. And if they stayed healthier, they might have made a much better push than they did.
They were in first place longer than anyone that didn't make the playoffs. That's a dubious stat.
To touch on this, wow, that sucks. To touch on this though, on the Bryant, I don't think that's a great fit, bringing Bryant there. But
neither.
If we're going to stay in the margin here, realistically, what is Carlos Correa's value here? I mean, is it going to work? Is he going to fit on any team?
He could fit.
I mean, there's some kind of animosity that just is not.
Situation, I think it's a little bit of excess. I like the point that Dorney made about Batty in the minor leagues, and I think while you have a star-studded team, it's important to focus on some of those young guys because when you have a star-studded team and now you have a young guy coming up, I'm going to make a Derek Jeter reference again. It's great to see how these professionals do it. Jeter had the Bernie Williams of the world, Tino Martinez's, Paul O'Neill's. Veterans that knew what it took, that all came together for a bigger prize and became champions. But the Mets have a similar thing cooking in Queens right now. And I'm a Yankee fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to use the word jealous, but at minimum, I'm going to say I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, we kind of had the same kind of very similar conversation last year as well. And we were all like, hey, watch out for the Mets. But once again, they just couldn't stay healthy enough to do it. But
the fact that they stayed in first as long as they did and got hit with some shit luck, I do think at minimum it proves that they are headed in the right direction. And not for nothing, to be fair, they took 4 out of 6 against my guys.
Fair enough. And but to acquire these big names, this team looks even better on paper than last year's team.
Damn right. They'd be a lot of fun.
So you should be a little bit worried, but it could be a Subway Series potentially. I don't know. That'd be kind of fun to see.
One thing that I think is important, the Yankees fan base is going a little berserk because we haven't done anything yet. I do think the Yankees want to wait this out and kind of see how the market resets itself. I still think there's value out there. Stopgap shortstop Alderton Simmons comes to mind because we're working on waiting for some of these kids to come up, the Perazzas, the Volpes, the Jason Dominguezes. Aaron Hicks isn't exactly what I want as a 4th outfielder or even a 3rd outfielder for that matter. But I do think the Yankees are going to make some moves that are thought out, deliberate, and they're going to work. And Severino, I wholeheartedly believe, is our number 2 behind Garrett Cole.
God, and it's the same thing, man. If these guys can stay healthy, these teams are just, the injury bug just gets everybody at the most fucked up time and an opportune time. Yeah, and if they didn't, man, your team would make a huge, huge push, man. But Boston just did it at the right time last year.
In the direction, it's just that Yankee fans are spoiled, dude. And anything less than an AL appearance is always considered a failure. And I don't think that's reasonable all the time.
It's really not. It's not realistic either. I mean, come on now. The Rays are coming out of nowhere in the last.
The bar's so high that's the shitty part of it.
Yeah, well, we had a 100-win team last year, and look at us. So you really got to just keep it realistic and be humble as a fan and as a team. You just got to look at everything, and if you're dealing with injuries, then so be it. Plan for next year. But I think the Mets set themselves up for success.
Before we move along, would you like me to play maybe a couple more off of Dorney's here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
He gave us a few, so go ahead, ride them out.
Noah Syndergaard taking the 1-year deal for $22 million, I think, to go to
too much money.
The Angels, not the Dodgers, the team that no one watches. I was pretty initially. Mostly because he spent, those entire 2 years on the shelf tweeting out about how much he loved being a Met and how much he loved New York and how excited he was for Uncle Stevie to come here. I was pissed until I heard his press conference. And, for someone his age who's had the injuries that he's had, it's pretty mature of me to say. I think he did what was best for him and his career. The situation in New York is not as stable, and I think he needs to go back to a place where the pressure's not going to be on him as much. He's not the big show over there. And if he flops, he's not going to get booed out of the stadium.
Well, real quick, hit the pause button on that because, out of the 2 teams in L.A., the Angels are definitely less exciting, clearly, in recent years. However, there's people watching them, man. If Trout can stay healthy.
I didn't like that too much. I mean, you got Ohtani.
I don't like that, man. Ohtani is like, come on, man. Rendon too. Ohtani is one of the most exciting players to watch. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
No, viewership one time when Andrew left. I get it.
Oh God. To his point though, they're definitely less interesting than the Dodgers. But
that ball in Field of Dreams still hasn't landed.
Oh my God, dude. I want to get into another topic on another show about that. How they were apparently loading up juiced balls for that fucking game.
Yeah,
that's the season. Wild. Did you hear that? We'll dive into that next show, but pretty wild. Any more takes from Dorney? Any more?
Yeah, you got a little bit more here. Tell you, I don't mind listening to him. He's very knowledgeable.
As far as
nice wealth of knowledge.
I'm not opposed to our new GM. He seems to have had the right things to say. And for whatever input he's had in the moves that we've made, I think he's doing an okay job so far. I mean, Max Scherzer sounds pretty okay to me. Personally, I think Sandy Alderson needs to go. I think if you give someone a title in title only or name only, it's not really giving them much power. No matter what he says, I think he's going to have too much input, and no one is really going to want to be in that position with someone looking over their shoulder the entire time. As far
that
as
sucks.
I'm still leaning towards Buck. I think we need some of that veteran leadership. I'm not totally for that old school mentality of the unwritten codes like La Russa is doing out there in Chicago. I think Buck kind of walks in both worlds.
That's well said.
As a Yankee fan, I'll speak on Showalter briefly. I think that he had the misfortune of always being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He helped build the Yankees. He helped build the Rangers. He helped build the Diamondbacks. All teams that either won or played in World Series after his departure. He knows how to get it moving. Dorney makes a good point. An old school manager that doesn't take no bullshit. But with the comment about walking into two different worlds, I do think that he understands how to acclimate to today's players while still instilling old school values in them to not just make them better players, but just better people. Because part of winning is being unselfish and going to bat for, so to speak, no pun intended, for the guys around you. Showalter has always made a positive influence anywhere he's been. And as a Yankee fan, I'd even go as far as saying he may have been a better manager than Joe Torre, but Joe Torre inherited a better situation. And no matter what, I'm thankful to Showalter because him and Gene Stick Michael helped put together that dynasty. So nothing but respect for Showalter. It would be a quality pickup for the Mets. I don't know if they're going to do it, but it would be a quality pickup.
I could see him doing it for sure. And I agree. I think it'd be a great pickup for them. Moving off the Mets, though, we're going to roll into the NFL. Just get a preview. And once again, Dorney, thank you, man. Appreciate the input. That's just awesome. Golden material, man. Thank you, dude. But let's move on. I want to touch on the little preview of tonight's game in the NFL. Bills face the Patriots. I think it's in Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Give me your breakdown on this, Rich.
Okay, I'm going to give you what the Patriots need to do first, and then I'll tell you what the Bills need to do. For the Patriots, and I've said this about the Bills in recent weeks, the Bills are as good as they want to be on that particular week. But one thing that the Bills have struggled with consistently this year is having the go-to guys in the backfield. Josh Allen, hell of a player. Got him in every damn fantasy league. But he's going to struggle if they cannot, at minimum, get the running game functioning. Because sometimes when you put too much on one person's shoulder, it's a lot of pressure. Mistakes are going to be made. But this is going to be about the defense, not about the two dynamic quarterbacks. Buffalo's defense is second in the league. New England's is first. This is going to be a lot of fun. They are playing for the number one seed right now. I like the Bills by a touchdown, in my opinion. But I think the keys to victory for the Patriots, got to shut down the run and force Allen to throw too much. Weather's going to be a little wet out there. You know, I saw that it wasn't forecasting for rain last I saw, but it's going to be very cold. Not easy to catch the football. Matthew Judon is going to be a guy that the Bills have to keep Allen clean. Buffalo did have a big loss in their secondary recently due to injury, but at home, and Buffalo's been getting a lot of shit about only beating one good team this year so far, which I think it's a little far out. I don't like the way that they always break down those little increments. Buffalo's a good team. I've said it before. They are the best built team roster-wise. I love what Bill Belichick has been able to do with New England, but I still think in a game like this, not having that deep threat, it's going to be exposed that their offense is limited. And I think Buffalo is the defense that can expose them. Buffalo by 7.
Okay. Good points. Valid points. I think New England's going to win this game, and they're going to do exactly what you said. They're going to shut down this run. Josh Allen is obviously a mobile quarterback. He can get it done with his legs. No doubt does he have the receiving core to get it done as well. But yeah, these defenses are top notch, some of the best in the league. Could be a low scoring game. What's your outlook for the final score, just real quick off the cuff?
Little higher scoring than people would expect. I got Buffalo winning 30-23, but I think that some of these quick scores possibly in the beginning of the game are going to be induced by turnovers, like field position, quick touchdowns. I don't necessarily think the score is going to mimic what the stat line looks like, so to speak. I think Allen is still good for about 300 to 350 all-purpose yards, but I do think there's a reception or two. I do like Buffalo, though. I think they're going to pull this game off.
If Buffalo lost to the fucking Jaguars, I have no faith in them anymore long term. But New England's a damn good team. They've just, I know. They've been balling out lately, though. And Mac Jones, I think, gets it done tonight. I think New England wins in a close one by 4. It's going to be some weird-ass score. But it's going to be, I agree, it's going to be higher scoring than you think because they're just going to be airing the shit out all the time on both sides of the ball.
The kicking game. The kicking game is could prove to be the difference.
I think they're dealing with some injuries right now. I think New England's kickers
has appeared on every injury report for the last 12 weeks, but he plays every week.
That's true. That's true.
And as a
he's questionable. He's
he has gone wild for points. I mean, that dude put up
balls out every week.
But I also like Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass is a damn good kicker too. So I'll put it to you like this: if it comes down to a field goal, I think both of them are up to the task.
Wow, I mean, this dude's a beast. Folk is a beast, bro. 21, 16, 9, 6, 15, 14.
Oh yeah. I have
fantasy numbers right now
going tonight, and I need 22 combined with the two of them combined. 22 points, I win. Had a lackluster week in fantasy. Had a rough week.
I like the leagues. I like the leagues that just say, get rid of the kicker. Fuck the kicker, man. It's such a wild card where you can have a kicker that puts up twice the amount of points than a fucking stud-ass receiver that has a mediocre night. Cool. I don't know.
I hope
it's such a wild card.
Gano yesterday, he put up 11 in a losing effort in Miami. I'm hoping that I don't regret not starting him because there's no guarantee with that weather in Buffalo.
Yeah, I know, and that obviously complicates the situation, the kicking situation, but. No, I really think it's going to be a higher scoring game, and I think New England gets it done. Like I said, it'll be close, but it'll be a higher scoring game. And a lot of it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. They're just going to be airing it out. There's going to be a lot of picks in this game. But there's also going to be a lot of deep threats that get exposed.
So what is your final prediction in terms of score? I know you said 4 points.
4 points. I think it's going to be something stupid like 42-38, something stupid high, or something like
I don't
dumb
see
shit high.
Wackadoo with the scoring. I'm sticking. Yeah,
I do. 30-23. I think it gets out of hand.
I have a feeling that the New England offense is going to struggle a little more than they have. Buffalo is very stingy against the run. I'll put it to you like this: I like both defenses, but in this particular game, I like Buffalo just a little more in this particular game. New England's undefeated on the road. They got to lose a road game sooner or later.
I'll reel it in a little bit and say 32-28, just because that's more realistic. But I think, and everybody's all these talking heads are saying that Belichick's going to just control the clock. He's just going to slow him down. And I get it, but I feel like they're just going to get out there and it's going to be a fucking shootout because these are two phenomenal defenses. But I think it's going to be a shootout, man, and a lot of the points are going to be defensive points. But
scores tonight on each side.
Yeah, I agree. But it's going to be a higher scoring game.
I'm calling a Mac Jones pick 6 tonight. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but
it's probably going to happen.
I also think Buffalo might be more control of the game than my final score indicates, where they could be up big and then New England chips away to make it that 7-point differential. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. I'm excited. I actually can't wait to watch this game.
I hope that lives up to the hype, but I have a feeling that they might be blowing this up a little too much.
What this game, this matchup?
A lot of circumstantial stuff is why these guys are playing for the one spot at the moment. Not taking nothing away from either squad, but I just trust Josh Allen a little more than the rookie tonight. And I think Mac Jones has done a hell of a job, and I still think they're both playoff bound, and they're probably going to play each other 3 times this year. But tonight I like Buffalo.
2 defensive touchdowns for Buffalo, 1 to Diggs, 1 to Knox, and then on the other side of the ball, Mac Jones just spreads it out. But I agree, a pick 6 might happen as well. But it's going to be interesting. It'll be fun as hell to watch. It might be Stephon Diggs' time to shine tonight too. Who knows? We'll see. You can never really pick him out like that. But just want to finish up the show, man, by saying it's been a great show, man. Thank you for doing this with me today, even without L. L has some other engagements he had to take care of, but just wanted to say we have a very close friend of the show and a fan of the show, and a good personal friend of mine, Mikey, who's a big Bills fan, and he's not doing so well right now. We just want to send our thoughts, to him and his wife Rebecca. We love you guys, man, and just hang in there, Mikey. Our thoughts are with you, buddy. So, Rich, I'll let you say a couple things, man. But we love you, Mike.
Yeah, Mike is a character. He's a funny guy, and one of his best qualities, I must say, one of the most generous people I've ever met. He's always thinking about others. We all have our things that make all of us imperfect, but Mike got a very good heart, and all I'm going to say is I hope the Bills win for him tonight. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But going to be a hell of a game tonight.
Yeah, but that is the direction it goes, just for his sake. But, Mikey, our thoughts are with you, man. We're thinking about you, buddy. And we'll wrap up the show with that. And you guys stay tuned. Come back next week. We'll have one more show before the new year. And then we're going to call it quits. I think we're going to aim for the 14th? Did we decide, Rich?
I believe the
14th.
And since we're on the air, and we've had limited time to speak, I wanted to also make a mention that Elle and I are talking about, with football heating up, we might revisit a couple of football shows in between our main shows. Kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
You're seeing our mugs a little more frequently, and I think both shows kind of boost each other, and it's a nice flow for us. But Elliot and I have mentioned now that football is getting down to that final stretch, and we haven't had the time to do like the football shows we did last year. We're going to try to compensate, get some of that going for you too.
Yeah, bring back the JPS football, man. I love it. I appreciate that, and all the work you guys do for that.
And one final mention before I go.
Yeah.
It is Monday, and I usually do my Monday morning. Well, it's not the morning anymore, but I do my Monday breakdown of the entire happenings. Look for that either later tonight, prior to the kickoff of the Buffalo game, as well as our show here, or I might be dropping it for you on Tuesday. But look out for that. Going to give you, as always, the new preview for the new week and the rundown of what we saw yesterday. But thank you guys for listening so much, and I enjoyed this today.
We appreciate all the support, guys. And, look for a show coming out on the 14th. Just want to give thanks to Dorney, dropping all that knowledge on us on Anchor and giving us that quality material. Thank you, brother. We appreciate it. You guys stay tuned. We'll catch up with you next week. You guys take care. See you, Rich.